Hey there, it's David. When it comes to relationships, there's a big difference between someone you know and someone you claim. There's also a big difference between someone you know about and someone you claim. Let me give you some examples. A neighbor that you see regularly out walking their dog or cutting their grass or washing their car is an example of someone that you know. You know their name. You know where they live. You may even know some facts about where they work, their favorite teams, or where they went on their last vacation. Yet you don't really know them because you haven't claimed them. This kind of relationship isn't a bad thing or a good thing. It's just a thing. A casual relationship that you have with someone because of something shared, like proximity. You're neighborly, and that's it. Another example concerns someone that you know about. This would be someone like your favorite sports figure, entertainer, or politician. These are people that you know about. You know their stats, their positions, their songs, their public persona. But you don't know them. If you saw them on the street, you would recognize them, but they wouldn't know who you are. For you know a lot about them, but you don't know them. You've claimed them, but they haven't claimed you because they don't know who you are. This isn't a relationship. For a relationship requires two parties to be involved. This scenario, knowing about someone, isn't a relationship. It's simply being a fan. Now, don't misunderstand. This isn't a bad thing. This is just a thing. A fan is someone who knows a lot about someone because they follow their careers or watch them perform or listen to their speeches. Yet, this isn't a relationship. You're just a fan, and that's it. Well, before we get too far down the road of this discussion, let's start the show. Let's go island hopping. Relationships are a huge part of our lives. We've been created as social beings. The only thing that God saw in creation that was bad was the fact that the man was alone. And if you doubt the importance of relationships in our lives, review all of the stress, struggle, and strain that was experienced during the COVID lockdowns. Even us dyed-in-the-wool introverts couldn't wait to again be physically in the presence of other people. For Zoom meetings can only go so far in quenching our relationship thirst. Yet, it's vital that you come to an understanding of what is a relationship, casual or claiming, and what is simply being a fan, a situation where relationship, casual or claiming, is impossible. Today's conversation isn't about being a fan. It's about relationships of claiming. Not that there's anything wrong with being a fan, yet you'll never quench your relational thirst through any fandom situation. Today's conversation will serve as another step in your journey toward believing that you matter to God. For, spoiler alert, your relationship with God isn't merely a fan relationship or even a casual relationship. It can be. There is the possibility of it being and the opportunity for it to be a claiming relationship. For God has already claimed you. You matter to God. Now the ball's in your court. Will you claim God? All right, do you claim God and why?
Yes, because in my life there's been situations where only God could have prevailed in the situation, and just knowing Him and what He's capable, I knew in that situation there was a God.
Do you claim God and why?
Do I claim God? I guess it would depend on the sense of What do you mean by claim? In my life, I claim God because I believe in Him. I trust Him in what I'm doing. Everything I do in life, I rely on Him. So yeah, I guess I would say I claim God in that sense.
Do you claim God, and why?
Do I claim God, and why? Do I claim that there is a God? Yes, I would say yes, absolutely. And why? I think everything around us says why. It doesn't have to be a big theological discussion. There's design in nature and in humans and animals and everything we see. So of course there's a God. I think that's easy to see, even though we cannot see God Himself.
You know what it's like to live in this truth. I will not claim anyone in my life until I know that I matter to them. In other words, you don't care how much somebody knows until you know how much somebody cares. This caring is what all of us find essential. As a human being, you're wired for this kind of caring, both in the giving and receiving departments. You've been created in the image of God. Thus, claiming relationships are a part of who you are. For God is a living example of a claiming relationship. Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, the three in one. The Father claims the Son and the Holy Spirit. The Son claims the Father and the Holy Spirit. And you guessed it, the Holy Spirit claims the Father and the Son. This is the very image into which you've been created. You long for claiming relationships. You need claiming relationships. If you find yourself without claiming relationships, you flounder. You lose your way. Loneliness, aka a lack of claiming relationships, is an epidemic. According to a Meta-Gallup survey, 1 in 4 adults across the world report that they feel very or fairly lonely. In other words, 1 in 4 adults are lacking claiming relationships in their lives. And this fact is affecting our health, our communities, our politics, our institutions, our families, as well as our faith. We are a people who are connected like never before. We have social media, 24-hour news outlets, internet search engines, virtual dating, meetings, and even worship services. There's basically nothing that can happen in this world without the rest of the world instantaneously knowing about it. Yet connection isn't relationship. Connection is connection. It's good, but it's casual. It's like the neighbor or the entertainer. Connection isn't what you really need as a human being. Claiming relationships is what you crave and desire. Would you care about someone if you thought they didn't care about you?
Yes, because the Bible talks about unconditional love and loving your brother, and it's one of the commandments as well.
Would you care about someone if you thought they didn't care about you?
Oh. I mean, I guess we all should try to do that and strive to do that every day. Honestly, it probably would be, hard to completely care about somebody that you don't know maybe versus somebody you did know. But I think we should all strive to care about people and try our best to care about people every day.
Would you care about someone if you thought they didn't care about you?
Would I care about someone if I thought that they didn't care about me? Probably not if it was a stranger. If it was my child, yes, I would.
If you don't believe that someone cares about you, chances are good that you won't care about them. This is a human truth, no matter the race, the age, the ethnicity, or even the time in history that someone exists. This is a universal relational truth for all people in all times. If you don't claim me, I won't claim you. Take this universal truth and apply it to your current understanding of God. Consider these two questions. Does the God that you understand God to be right here, right now, care about you? Or does the God that you understand God to be right here, right now, only care about you when you're being good? Again, this isn't about right or wrong. This isn't about what you should answer. This is simply about you being real, right here, right now, and answering the questions. Chances are good that you have fallen into the category that many people have fallen into as it relates to their understanding of God. You believe that you matter to God when you're being good and doing everything correctly. For we have been exceptional down through the annals of time in teaching this very perspective pertaining to our relationship with God. Yet, the flip side, the unintentional side effect of this perspective is this. When I'm not being good, I believe that I don't matter to God. A consequence of focusing on being good for goodness sake is that your understanding of God right here, right now, has more to do with you than it does with God. Thus, you find yourself living out of a different relational truth when it comes to God. Your truth is this: God will not claim me until God knows that I'm doing everything right. Can you see how this relational truth can and will cause problems between you and God? Can you see that this relational truth puts all of the focus on you and your actions? God created the universe. God made the size of the earth perfect. God made the distance between the earth and the moon perfect. God made the thickness of our atmosphere perfect. God placed the earth the perfect distance away from the sun. God created oxygen and plants and animals and water and honeybees and human beings. Do you really think that God did all of this so that your relationship with God could be totally based on your ability to be good enough? Do you think that God created love so that God could withhold it from anyone who wasn't good enough? What exactly do you find in creation that teaches you that you only matter to God when you're doing everything right or good? This isn't a claiming relationship. This is a casual relationship at its best, and a fan relationship at its worst. Maybe you know some things about God. Like your neighbor, you can hold a conversation with God if pressed. Yet you don't know God because you haven't claimed God. Maybe you know some things about God, like your favorite sports star. Maybe you know God's stats. You might even have God's rookie card or jersey. Yet you don't know God because you haven't claimed God. Yet claiming is terrifying, for it's putting yourself out there on the line, committing to a relationship no matter what. And let's be real. You've been burnt by claiming others in the past, a hurt that has left a lasting mark. Maybe you've even been hurt in your relationship with God, for God didn't live up to your expectations or live up to what someone taught you about God. Maybe you think that there have been times in your life where God didn't claim you. Well, don't you think that God understands? Don't you think that God has been hurt by us? Don't you think that the pain, the sorrow, and the disappointment that we've caused God has left a lasting mark on God? Admit it. You believe that you've done enough in your life to warrant God giving up on you. Yet, God is right here, right now, claiming you. Why? Because you do everything right? Because you're a perfect person? Or because claiming relationships is who God is? So, your mission, if you choose to accept it, is this. Do I believe that I matter to God? Not because I'm good all the time, but because I believe that God has claimed me, all of me, the good parts as well as the bad parts, the perfect parts as well as the imperfect parts. And am I willing to claim God in my life, all of my life? Am I willing to claim God on Saturday nights as well as Sunday mornings? Do you believe that claiming relationships is who God is? Do you believe that you matter to God simply because you matter to God? Well, until next time, when we will take a closer look at the human phenomenon of purpose-driven relationships, my prayer for you is simple. Lord, help them believe that you've claimed them, and help them to claim you.
Hey there, it's Donovan. Island Hopping is a production of Journey to Be Ministries and is sponsored by Beneva Christian Church. You can find Beneva Christian on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, as well as their website, benevachristian.com. If you'd like to contact my uncle, just drop him an email at islandhoppingpodcast@gmail.com.